Are we on here? Does anybody see me yet, or to see the Star Racing logo? All right. We're going to talk about several items today. We're going to talk about cam timing. I've had a lot of people ask me some good questions, so I'm going to let you guys warm up a little bit and see if we can get anybody on here right away. Should be interesting if you're into this kind of stuff. Somebody give me an amen on the loud and clear. Wow. Ronald and Bobby and all of them. So y'all can hear me okay? Amen. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'm gonna have to show dial indicator and the degree wheel and how I've got it set up on the lifter. Milwaukee 8. It's a 4.5 by 4.5 bore, 4.5 stroke. It's all put together. We're getting ready to put the heads on it, and we double checked all the lobes on the cam. The Milwaukee 8 has one cam with 4 lobes on it, like the old Evo. It's pretty neat, but since we have a really low spring pressure and lightweight valve train, it gets by really nice having one cam, and of course it's got these rock arms. That one push rod activates the 2 valves. Works out really good. It's amazing you can turn this 7,000 or 8,000 RPM and have it work. We've got this set of pistons, a machine where we can put the big cam in it. We've got a 600 lift, 602 actually is what's in this one. And we've been testing cams a lot. We have lots of different cams now. We've got all the way up to a 630 for the Milwaukee 8 yet, but we haven't proven it. It's a moving target. Been doing this now 39 years, and it's different every few months. So just like our Thrasher kits that we sell everybody, they've been very popular, and we've sold a lot of them over the years, and they've done real well, but they've been a moving target as well. We used to make 100 horsepower with our Thrasher, and now we're making 130 horsepower with a 107. So as we continue to learn, we keep increasing the power. So this Milwaukee 8 will be that way too. We're going to work on this for probably the next 10 years, probably a Milwaukee 8, that design. But I had people ask me some good questions, like how do you get cubic inches out of bore and stroke? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this engine over, see if I can do it without flipping it over. Alright, and when you get over here to TDC, piston's all the way at the top. And then I'll run this one all the way down, and I'll show you the bore and stroke. It goes way down in the hole. There you go. So now I'm going to do the quick math. You guys that have done this before, you'll understand. Always make sure your caliper is 0. All right, we're gonna go in here and just grab just a big piece. No accurate deal here at all. This is just gonna give you, this is just for an example, okay? We're gonna call this one 4.5, okay? That's 4.493, so that's real close to a 4.5 bore. I might can get it a little bit closer. There you go, 4.491. All right. Now, the stroke. How far down in here is this piston? Y'all try not to get dizzy or seasick. There's another one, 4.4850. So, we can take this math And notice this calculator is really big. It's the AARP certified calculator. So we should be able to see if I can make this work. Okay, we're gonna take the bore 4.491 times 4.491 times the stroke 4.491 times 7854 times 2 cylinders equals 142.28. And if I did real nice with the micrometer, it would have made a 143. So this engine is it says 142.28. Sounds like I got a low network connection. That's terrible. Anyway, you can see this piston's way down in here. So 4.5 bore, 4.5 stroke. And in order to degree cams, you have to have a true top dead center. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the front cylinder. I've got a homemade top dead center finder. Positive stop's what it's called. I'm going to show you how this works. It's tough doing this one-handed. One day I'm going to get me probably next week, maybe I'll get me a helmet with a camera on it, so I can do this stuff with my hands and show y'all what's up. All right, here's a positive stop. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn the engine over very slowly until the piston touches, just touches, okay? Then I'll come over here to the degree wheel and I'm gonna make a little mark right where that is, like right there. See that? Okay. Then I'm going to turn the engine over backwards now. I'm going to come all the way around and bring the piston back up again. Yeah, GoPro for my live show. All right, till it just touches. There it goes. That just touched. Now we'll go back over to the degree wheel and make a little mark there. Let's see where it is, right there. All right. Now, I'll get down here and show you how this works. I got a positive stop at 24 degrees from TDC, and I got the other positive stop at 24 degrees from TDC. So I already bent this pointer to where I take my deal off. I'll be able to take this little tool off now. Let me unlock it. This is real tight against it here. There we go. Now I can take this tool off. And then I'm going to put this to TDC. I'm going to roll this piston up to where you can tell that it's TDC. Man, my phone keeps yelling at me. Now, if you want to see, I'm going to try and show you guys how I did that. I made a positive stop mark at 24 after and 24 before. That's when the piston, I rolled it around and the piston bumped. I rolled it around and the piston bumped. Halfway between those marks, put TDC right here, and that's where we are. So we're at TDC. Now, this Milwaukee 8, like I said, it has one cam, has 4 lobes on it. It has an exhaust lobe, an intake lobe. It also has an exhaust lobe and an intake lobe. So I put this dial indicator on the intake lobe on the front cylinder, okay? Now that we have TDC set, we'll be able to go over. I hope I hadn't made y'all dizzy yet. All right, that is That says it's only 11 degrees before top dead center, okay? We'll roll this, keep going the same way. Roll this through, rolling through, going full lift. Now I'm coming back. Cam's coming, the lobes, lifter's going back on the lobe now. There it is. Okay. Now, I got 50 before, so now I'm gonna get 50 before it closes. Let's see where that is. I'm trying to see through my phone too, like y'all are. All right, there we go, right there. All right. Now that number, intake valve closes at, let's see, looks like it would be, intake center line would be halfway between these points. So we got 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. So we got 142 plus 180. That makes that give us 42. 180. 222. Yeah, that's not right. So what did I get? I got 90, 100. Okay, that's back on the seat. So where does that close? That's crazy. I'm doing this live, of course, y'all. Top dead center. Do it again. Let's just make sure. Maybe I'll talk my way through it better this time. Is anybody still tuned in? Because I can't tell with my camera turned around this way and the phone turned around this way. Tell me if you're still tuned in. Or did I make everybody sick? All right, the valve opens. Same place. That's 12 degrees before top dead center. All right. Now we're going to go past top dead center. All the way to the bottom. Past bottom. Now the piston's coming back up on compression stroke, and we have gonna go to 50 before close. That's 50 before close, okay. And that is now 48 degrees after bottom. All right, so that would be 12 plus 48 plus 180 equals 240 degrees duration, okay? That intake cam is 240, all right? Divided by 2 equals 120 minus the opening number of 12 equals, and it is on a 108 lobe center. I know that didn't make sense to you. But there it is. I'll try and do it again. The intake valve opened here at 12 degrees before top dead center. Then it starts on the intake stroke all the way around, and then it gets to the bottom, and then the piston starts coming back up on the intake stroke, and here it is, 10, 20, 30, 40, 10, 20, 30, 40, 8. Closes on 48. 48. So it opens at 12 before, closes at 48 after bottom. That's 240 degrees duration at 50 lift, and that's center line is on 108. Now you're going to have some questions, right? I'm trying not to flop around as much, I know. Could anybody see that? We need to go again, or everybody's good? Why are these numbers important? Well, this engine's really big, okay? So this 12, that keeps our piston from hitting, the valves hitting the pistons by opening the valve a little late. And since it's a 4 valve and it's got a lot of flow, we don't have to open it so far before TDC. Like a lot of cool cams on the twin cam stuff, we would open it at 25 or 30 before top. Whereas on these on the 4 valves, we don't have to do it that far away, that late. I mean that early. We can do it close. So here we are now. When the engine's turning over, we're opening the valve before TDC. Then we're going to rotate it through, all the way through, till the intake stroke is running at full stream. And then we're going to close the intake valve right here. Now, a little bit confusing. You see this other pointer here? This other pointer is set up for the rear cylinder. I did the same thing over here. I set my TDC marks. Set TDC. TDC for the rear is over here, which is, watch this. This is really cool to know because we've all heard it's a 45 degree V-twin, right? Let's go around and look at that for fun. I got Stan leaning on that thing. Messed me up. Look at that. Anyway, it's the TDC on the bottom one. It was hitting the stand, so it got messed up. But TDC on the front, and then the rear is actually 45 degrees. And I did the whole math on it. It was 22.5 difference from TDC to the center of the two cylinders, and then 22.5 here. So it's a 45 degree spread between top dead center on these engines. 45 degree spread. And when this one comes to TDC, this one's going down. And it confuses people what they think is really happening. They think a Harley goes boom, boom, and then coasts, and then goes boom, boom. But let me tell you, that's not what happens. What really happens is the rear fires first, right here. The rear goes bang, and it starts going down. This one is just now starting to get a good stroke going, but the front will come back up and fire next, all the way around. And then when it fires, then it goes back over to this one's getting a good intake, and it come up and fires. So the confusing part is the rear fires. The engine goes all the way around 405 degrees, then the front fires. Then the engine goes all the way around to 315 degrees, and then the rear fires. And then it goes all the way around to 415 degrees, and the front fires. 415. This one fires. 415 later, the front fires. 305 later, the rear fires. 415 later, the front fires. Then 305 again, the rear fires. So it's got some really crazy stuff. And yes, 2 pointers, one for the front, one for the rear. 4 cam lobes, 1 exhaust on the rear, 1 intake on the rear, 1 exhaust on the front, and 1 exhaust on the rear. My friends with the V8s, they buy the cam, has all 16 lobes on one stick, and they degree wherever they can. But since this is all new, and we're getting brand new designs on these camshafts, we're having to move all 4 lobes around to where we get the results we want. So we degreed all 4 lobes and got the opening and closing numbers we wanted. And if you'll notice, these events matter right here. This intake valve, it opens 12 degrees before top dead center. Then the engine goes all the way past 180, past top bottom, and then the valve closes at 48. So the only way you get lobe center and the only way you get duration, and the only way you get lobe center is with these events. People say that they want their cam ground on 108, or they want 240, or they want to close their intake at 48. I don't know why people say what they say, but the reality is, intake valve, it opens before TDC. The intake valve closes after bottom, and then when you take the 12 plus the 48 plus the 180 degrees of rotation, it gives you 240 degrees of duration at 50 lift, 50 lift, 50 lift. This is 50 thou before, this is 50 thou before TDC. It gives you 12 degrees before TDC. And this one's at 50 thou lift on the lifter at 48 after bottom. And when you do the math, 240 duration divided by 2, subtract this number, gives you 108. That's where the lobe center comes from. Lobe center doesn't come from any other hocus pocus. The only way you can get lobe center is with events. These are called cam events. Okay? Now on a twin cam, our fast cam, like we run in Bagzilla, we run 20 on the opening, and we run, say, 58. So we're getting 8 more duration here, and we're getting 10 more duration here. So that's 18 more duration. So that means this 240 will now be 258. That's the only way you can get it. These events. I open the intake valve 20 before the top on the 2 valve with the big valves on the B2 heads. I open it 20 degrees before top, close it at 58 after bottom. Added those numbers together with 180 degrees, it gave me 258. And with this, events, let me tell you the lobe center on that. Let's try and get it in this. AARP. 20 before plus 58 after plus the 180 equals 258 duration right here on Bagzilla, okay? Divide that by 2 equals 129, all right? 129 minus the 20 puts that cam in at 109. Let me do it for you. 129 minus the opening, which is 20, minus the 20 equals 109. So the Bagzilla lobe center is on 109. This Milwaukee 8's on 108, but look at the difference in duration. 18 degrees more duration on the 2 valve versus 240 degrees on the 4 valve. Anybody head hurt? I'm sorry there's no script. Like I said, this is just live. I flopped around and had a tough time trying to keep this thing still up here while I was turning it with one hand. But this is a really, really neat engine, and we're excited about what the potential of this engine, because this is a customer's engine, and these parts are going into, these are development parts that we will have for sale. Eventually we're going to have these billet cylinders available, and of course we'll do the sleeve install, the bore and hone. You can see how nice the pistons are. That's another day that we will have that story about what the pistons are and how we do ours different than everybody else. But remember, when you're doing this, guys, don't get goofed up with the front from the rear. Front's where the oil filter is. And the rear is where the transmission goes. And you can do all this in the bike, which would have been a lot better for me to do it in the bike. But I sure hope this makes sense to you. And I love the questions. I mean, guys ask me all the time. They send me questions. They want to know about octane and spark knock and cranking compression and the static versus dynamic. I did explain a little bit about the bore and hone. Excuse me, the bore and stroke. Bore and stroke is math. It's bore times stroke. times 0.7854 times the number of cylinders. So this engine, one more time, I know this is repetitious, 4.5 times 4.5 times the stroke of 4.5. Get it? It's square. 4.5 times 4.5 times 0.7854 times 2 equals. That's a 143.1. That's how this engine is. It's 4.5 bore, 4.5 stroke, and look how far down this piston goes. 4.5 stroke. You know what that is, you guys? That is a stock crank out of a CVO Milwaukee 8. That piston goes way down there. If this was a V8, it'd be a big engine of 4.5 by 4.5. This engine is going to probably be able to, the limit. What's our limit, guys? Our limit is gasoline. I know I've said this before, but I had several conversations today. Just because we can make engines that make 180, 190, 170 horsepower, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to go cross country with it. That doesn't mean, and somebody says they can, well, they're better than us, because when you contain enough cylinder pressure in here with the head gasket and the head, and you got the 90 cc chamber and a net zero dome with valve pockets this deep, and you get a net zero dome, your compression ratio will come out of this thing somewhere around 12 to 1, maybe 12.5 to 1. That's okay if you don't mind running a little bit of racing gas. Now, if you're stuck with 93 octane or 91 octane, where you're going, where you have to travel to, you're going to be limited by how much cylinder pressure you can create. And we offer 150 horsepower with 93 octane gasoline. Now, if you don't mind putting a gallon of racing gas in there with it, you can get a lot more power. Racing gasoline doesn't make the engine run hot. Racing gasoline makes the engine run cool. It gives it resistance to detonation. And you do not want your engine to detonate. If you're driving around and you sound like you got little rock pebbles in a hubcap or some tingling going on in the motor when you crowd the throttle down or give it a little bit of gas early, you're going to hear some tinging, some spark knock. That means that you are self-combusting. That means the engine is auto-igniting. That means that the spark plug's going up. The fire, the air and fuel is flowing in, is actually combusting on its own, based on compression, based on temperature, and it auto-ignites, which will destroy your engine. It beats the rod bearings out. And I know people say, yeah, I can get 100 octane, I can get E85, but guess what? If you're going to travel across the country, you can't get all that stuff everywhere you go. So please be wary of using available gasoline, okay? Let's see what happens here. Yeah, some people have a 2-inch degree wheel, some people have a 4-inch degree wheel, some people have a 38-inch degree wheel. It's like front wheels. Everybody's got a little different deal. We've been very fortunate over the years. I know you've seen the trophies before, but we learned all this racing stuff and all this camshaft stuff. We learned all that doing the racing, and what we're offering is what we learned racing in a tamed form. We're not doing 400 pounds of cranking compression for your street engine. We're working around 200 pounds of cranking compression for your street engine, not 400. If you want to run 16 to 1, good grief. we can give you that much if you want, where it has 400 pounds cranking compression. But good luck trying to start it. Good luck trying to ride it around with 93 octane. Won't work out too good for you. But anyway, I'm gonna roll. That's a long little story. I'll probably have to do some more later. But I just wanted to give everybody a heads up on what's really up with the cam timing and why. We'll talk about the effects of what that does later. And if you missed this and you had to do something else and you want to watch it, I will repeat it and put it on my Facebook page. And thank you guys again so much for the support. I am truly blessed that you are interested, and I have been given the gifts to gather this information and share it with you guys, and I'm thankful. Everybody have a good evening. Be careful.